Welcome and good evening to the Eastbourne Parkrun Lockdown livestream. My name's Ray Whitby. I'm from the YouTube channel Aspiring Runners, and it is a privilege once again to be hosting the show for you tonight. I'm not alone. I'm going to bring him straight in, and we're going to welcome, as our race director this evening, Simon Jones. Simon, good evening.
Good evening, my friend. How are you?
Doing well, and yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. It's been a bit of a wet and blustery day today, but I've kept warm, I've kept dry. That's the main thing.
The weather is atrocious. It is wet. It's cold, as you say. So it's great to be indoors. I don't know if we've got any hardened runners that will still be out there. Not that you could tell us, unless you're somehow tuning in live through the internet waves to your phone. But if you're actually knuckled down in this evening, please comment away. Let us know where you are in the world, what you've been up to today. Have you been out? Have you been able to make it? Did you survive the wind and the rain? And has it been a good week for you? So whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on Facebook, hopefully you're here live. If not, if you're watching us on replay, you're equally welcomed, and we just encourage you to comment away in the description or below the description of this video. We'll try and pick up on comments as we go along, either live stream or after the show as well. But it's great to have you here this evening. Now we've got a bit of a fun-packed show this evening. But before we even get on to the show itself and what we're up to, I thought I'd better show this because Simon has chosen an interesting montage for his video studio, which kind of reminds me of this group. Which I think, Simon, you probably have to start singing Bohemian Rhapsody.
I am a massive, massive Queen fan as well. So to be compared, I need to get the lighting and probably have it underneath. I don't know how big my beard is at the moment, but yeah, I do need to get some better lighting in here. I think my son's room is just a little bit dull.
And I think it'll be hard pressed. So who would you most look like out of those four?
Well, none of them are bald, and none of them have a beard. So I'd be struggling out of all of them, to be perfectly honest.
Well, should we say who would you most sound like out of all four? But let's not go there. So, viewers,
I'd probably say Roger Taylor out of the four of them, to be honest.
Okay. Because he doesn't have any of those bank accounts, to be honest.
Oh, but he didn't sing very much, so that's probably like me. I don't sing very much, so that's fine. I'm definitely not a Freddie Mercury. I'm definitely not a Brian May.
Not even in the shower? Not even air guitar?
I'm even better than them in the shower, so that's fine.
Fantastic. All right, so this evening, viewers, we have a few items that we're going to discuss. It's actually going to be some really deep and meaningful, interesting stuff that's very pertinent to you as a runner as well. So thank you for joining in. It'd be great if you can just comment away, let us know where you are in the world and what you've been up to this week, especially with running. And what I'd like to do is just bring in this quick question, bit of an icebreaker, just to ask, have you ever hit the wall when running? Have you ever hit the wall when running? Simon, have you ever hit the wall when running? Either metaphorically or physically?
Well, yeah, I have. I find the wall quite a mental challenge for me. I think it's it's one of those things that mentally I have to get over how tired I'm feeling, or how tired and how much further there is to go. And breaking it down to things like, God, I hate to say it, but like only a park run to go, only a 10K to go, only this to go, only that to go, and trying to keep, don't want to kind of go into our subject today, but how to keep things more positive as we're going. I have metaphorically hit the wall when I did Brighton Marathon in 2011, I believe. As you go into Shoreham, down towards Shoreham Power Station, all around the Shoreham Harbour bit where it gets really boring and very, very quiet and everything like that, one of the colleges had put up a bit that said hit the wall, and there was a button on the side of it that you could physically hit as you went past. Unfortunately, I missed it and hit a screw, and it split my palm open. But I physically hit the wall, and it hurt. It really hurt. It split my palm open. So yes, I have hit the wall. So yeah, it's not a good thing to hit, and it's one of those things. If you've ever seen the film Run, Fat Boy, Run,
yes.
There is a very iconic bit. It's one of my favourite films regarding running. There's an iconic bit in there where he hits the wall, and for me, it very much is that kind of, there is something almost wanting to stop you in the way. So yes, I have definitely hit the wall. What about yourself?
I have, and quite recently, and I'll probably share that a little bit later on in the show. And that was the metaphorical wall, but certainly wrapped up in the show, talking about positive mental attitude. But also, I think for mine, it was knowing my limits as well. And we've got a guest that's waiting in the wings. We'll bring him in just a minute, who I've never known him to actually look down. Well, certainly not for more than about 30 seconds. And as soon as you look at him, his face just lights up. He's probably the most positive guy that I know, especially as a runner as well. But we'll bring him in the show a little bit later on. Yeah, just comment away if you actually know who we're talking about, apart from the individual himself who's not allowed to comment. Right, so I think what we better do is let's get on with the news. And in the news, we have an update from Parkrun HQ, as well as potentially the rest of the world. But I think this is a rather straightforward one, Simon, isn't it? That Parkrun HQ have basically had to follow the guidelines of what's out there and what's in the best interests of the organisers and the volunteers that are required to run the event, as well as, of course, what's happening within the government and what they're trying to say about keeping everybody safe. We have hit a huge second spike. I think the number of cases reported now is much higher than the first spike. But I think I'm right in saying that at least the number of deaths hasn't tracked in a similar fashion. I know that's only a minor thing because actually going through the illness itself, from what I understand, can be pretty horrific. And of course, our thoughts and prayers are out for those that are struggling, especially the NHS system and those that are involved. We do wish that you will have a lot of strength to keep on going and doing what you're doing. And for those that are struggling, just hope for a speedy recovery through it. But at the moment for Parkrun in England, it's definitely not going to happen again. So it was a bit disappointing that I think it was the day after that they had announced a potential return at the end of October. It all disappeared, I'm afraid.
Yeah, they were looking. I know that there was talk, there was conversation and communication that they were looking to start up by the end of October, and then, as you say, within hours, that the spike was increasing and the number of positive tests coming back was increasing. I think they're over 10,000 a day at the moment. I know that testing is greater now apparently than it was by the first spike, so that might have something to do with it. I know that obviously universities are being massively hit at the moment. So Parkrun have basically turned around and said we are planning to come back, but when it's safe to do so. And they've obviously, decided rightly, I think, that now or coming towards the end of October is not the right time to bring back Parkrun.
That's right. Yes, and whilst we do, have that very much at the forefront of my mind, that we are trying to be responsible and very careful as runners and as a running community. We know that, of course, we're divided. That some just want to get out there and run. Others don't feel that they are necessarily at risk or they're willing to take the risk, and others are obviously going to stay away because they feel as though they are very much in that category of being at risk. So I'd just say that at least for Parkrun, let's just watch this space. But of course, we should be encouraging you to think about the not Parkrun.
Exactly.
Which is something that we really want to push as well, is to get out there and record your 5K. So no matter where you're on the world, it's just about recording your 5K, which makes it a little bit more interesting as well, because I wonder if anybody's posted a PB just by selecting a completely downhill route. I've not seen it yet, which is rather surprising.
I'm sure our guest has probably considered it. It's definitely the kind of thing that our guest would consider. Especially where he lives. I mean, where they live. I don't want to give any more. There's quite a few potential downhill routes from where this person lives. So they might have considered it. I don't know.
And just to say welcome this evening, my son Matthias, and just to say big happy birthday from your father, me of course, and from the rest of the family and those that know you as well. It's been an intense day.
Happy birthday, Matthias. Happy birthday.
All right, and okay, going on next in the show, again in keeping with the theme of being positive and good mental and physical health, we have some research that's actually come in that basically shows that in order to prevent dementia or help prevent the onset of dementia, keeping your mind healthy and active, it's all about the cortex. And from what they're saying, the studies that they've done, is that even if you are sedentary, predominantly during the day, which is sitting on your backside, that if you do rigorous exercises for 20 minutes, 3 times a week, as everybody seems to be advocating. But the more you're doing exercise, the less the decline and the less the thinning of your cortex. And that is the direct link into improving your mental well-being as well. So it's a bit of an interesting one, but we keep saying it. You've got to get out there and run because it's healthy for you, but it's also great for your brain. It's great for your mind. It's great for your mental well-being. So this is just seems to be another piece of research to confirm what everybody's been saying. What do you think, Simon?
Well, yeah. Well, 1st of October was I think was World the Happy Smile Day or something like that. So even thinking about that makes me smile, and that raises the endorphins. But I've always, as we've discussed on this show before, with when we talked about mental health, running is definitely a way of releasing the positive endorphins through the body. Right. Which gives you that runner's high and lifts your mood. So, I know that I sometimes have a very sedentary job by just sitting in an office. Sometimes I'm out and about. So, I try and make sure that I get out as often as I can, especially if I had a day in the office, to try and get out and relieve the stresses of the day, shall we say. So that's all a good thing.
So they're saying that basically you only have to meet at least 150 minutes a week, so which is less than half an hour a day. So maybe it's a little bit more than 3 times a week at 20 minutes.
5 days for half an hour.
5 days for half an hour.
That does me right.
That's right. So that's what we're after. So it's not a huge amount. It's just a case of setting your day up correctly and getting on with it. And in terms of getting on with it, the next news item: marathons. Did you see the marathon today?
Was there a marathon today?
We're talking London 2020. It went ahead. Just the elites. So you just missed out on the ability to qualify for the elites slot. We know, Simon. It's a bit of a shame.
I missed the qualifying by about 3 hours.
just
about 3 hours. But yeah, no, it was obviously a different event today. It was the elite London Marathon, but as as probably you and I both know, and hopefully everyone watching knows as well, there were 45,000+ people that were running out and about today across the world to raise money, because London Marathon is one of the biggest charity fundraising events in the world, or I think it is the greatest or the biggest one. So there were 47,000 people running across the world, doing their own virtual marathon, raising vital funds. My Instagram feed from about lunchtime onwards was just full of people that I follow running that have said, I've done this and I've done that. So it's fantastic. I'm glad I didn't do it because the weather's been horrible, but part of me still, I kind of go, I just wish it had been, because it was the 40th one as well.
Right.
So it's such an iconic, time to do it. So I want to just say thank you to everyone, and well done to anyone that has completed it today. I know that there are a few Eastbourne park runners that have done it today. And there are park runners across the world that have done it. So anyone that has done it, that's watching, well done, and crack on for the next race.
Yeah, and the elites obviously was the biggest attraction, certainly on TV. I know that they did go out around the UK to interview people that were doing it remotely, doing it virtually. But within the elite race, I mean, both of them were just incredible. And I managed to watch pretty much most of it on fast forward. I found a trick with BBC Live Player. If you just pause it, then you go out, do some things, then come back and then speed up through the highlights almost. And you get the real-time almost effect. But to see Bridget, and forgive me for this poor pronunciation, Kosgei, reigning London Marathon champion, won this year's race in 2 hours and 15 minutes, 58 seconds. Just a phenomenal time, and actually not that far away from the elite men's race, which is just incredible. But the thing about the ladies' race, I mean, apart from Bridget, who's just an amazing athlete, was second place was Sarah Hall from America. It was just basically in the last kilometre. She seemed to be about 25 seconds away from the second place. She was in third place, and just somehow she just buried herself. I thought she was going to pass out before the finish line, and she managed to overtake Ruth, and forgive me again, Chepngetich, and just incredible.
I'll leave you with the but yeah, no, fantastic. It was a fantastic finish to a race. You know, both the men and women's races were brilliant. You know, to have the top 3 men finish within like 5 seconds of each other, and not the top 3 that we were imagining as well. You know, if we did a week ago, it was the Bekele versus Kipchoge race,
That's right.
and ended up being none of them, neither of those two, to be in the top 3. So obviously with Bekele pulling out a couple of days ago, and then Kipchoge, you know, I've read today that he went in, felt good this morning, but has had a bit of an ear problem or something. So, and then the wind and the rain has it's not been great conditions for them out there. You know, watching how wet it was. You know, they only ran a 2 hour 5 minute marathon.
It's incredible to have an off day and still finish in that kind of time. And yes, it was a shame that we didn't have the battle royale that we're all expecting and gearing up for. And we do hope that maybe next year could be another year, or maybe they'll choose another marathon to try this out, going head to head, because we know that it was. They only finished 2 seconds apart from each other, haven't they, in terms of the London Marathon finishes, or Berlin marathons that they've done. So yeah, it promises to be an incredible showdown. Just welcome into the studio, Goku Runner. How you doing? If I remember correctly, you're over from the States. How is it over there? It's probably very warm, if I remember correctly, from all your training videos of late. But it's great to have you on the show. Yeah. Please comment below. Let us know how you're getting on. And you're also doing a skipping challenge. I think he's skipping every day for goodness knows how many, hundreds of days. Just phenomenal as well. Well worth catching up on his YouTube channel. Big plug for Goku Runner. And the last piece of news that we want to bring up as well is an overloaded ultra-marathon runner. So a guy, Terry Rosserman, is a Welsh challenge enthusiast attempting to run a 50-mile ultra-marathon. Now, this is a bit of an interesting challenge as well. It's not straightforward. As if running 50 miles was difficult enough, he's then come up with an interesting additional challenge to it as well. Simon, can you tell us more?
Yeah, well, he's raising money for Mind, the mental health charity, if I remember correctly. Is that right?
Right.
Yeah, raising for Mind. And what he's basically said is that he's worked on like a sliding scale. So for £0 to £2,000 that he raises, so for every £50 within that, he will add £1 of weight to run with, and then it's a sliding scale. So all the way up to £10,000, he could actually have around 40 kilograms added to his backpack or to whatever he's wearing, his belt or his vest or something. So he could, you know, that's on top of what he currently weighs as well. Now, you know, being the 12 stone slim person that I currently am, 12 stone wink wink, you know, 37 kilos that's a vast amount of weight. You know, yes. You're looking at that, you know, for me, that's creeping up to half of my weight. So, you know, that's, you know, half of a small hippo is quite a lot to carry. But, you know, so, you know, to carry 40 kilograms over, you know, if you were going to do that over a 5K, it's going to hurt. You do that over a 10K, you're mental. Half marathon, what are you thinking about? Marathon, no, you can't. It's mental. But 50 miles, that's just bonkers. So I hope he raises thousands upon thousands of pounds. He gets over the challenge. He does it. He's obviously been training by carrying some extra weight on anyway, I would imagine.
Yes.
You know, I've been training with extra weight over lockdown, so he must be as well.
But it is different when it's distributed across your body as compared to strapping it to your front and your back, which I guess he's doing. And that does make a big, big difference.
And it's obviously going to affect things like his running style, his running form, and ultimately it's going to be, you know, hopefully he doesn't get injured doing it, and he doesn't, you know, get any serious injuries. But I take my hat off to him. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. That's not something I'm ever consider doing.
And I think there's the two-pronged challenge in it. One is going to be the physical endurance and trying to run that, and then of course you've got the other one, which is the mental the mental side, the mental challenge, having that positive mental attitude. And we're obviously here tonight to talk about positive mental attitude for runners. So yeah, it'll be interesting if we could ever get in touch with this guy and get him on the show as just to how he approached it and then how he actually managed the event itself. But let's get on with the show. And coming up next, we want to look at a picture quiz. But I think this is a great time to actually bring our guest in. And he's in the wings waiting patiently. So, Simon, can you give him a drum roll?
Hang on.
Hello. Hi.
Mike Thompson. You are
Man who needs no introduction.
Yes.
I'm here.
You are, for those that don't know Mike Thompson, Mike, you are our parkrun ambassador, are you not?
That's right, yeah. And help out at Eastbourne Park Run and a few others.
Yes.
Thank you for inviting me, everybody.
Well, it's great to have you back on the show. And as you say, this is a gentleman that I've known through parkrun, and every time I've seen him, he always manages to put a smile on his face. You know, whether the course is flooded and he's had to run, the course 3 times beforehand just to find a route through the floods, whatever it is, nothing ever seems to get you down, Mike, which is incredible. No. So we're going to find out your secrets. But first, for those that are actually tuned in, we're going to have a picture quiz. So, Mike, you can partake in the very first one, but for the rest of them, please don't shout out the answers. So it's fairly straightforward. Look at the pictures and then tell us what or who the runner is.
Oh, blimey.
So, go for it. So, what have you got the first one, Mike?
No, it's not Kipcoat. No, hang on.
So, what's the very first picture, Mike?
It's a sheep.
Okay, what type?
It's a pregnant sheep.
Okay, so what kind of sheep is it going to be then? Which type of sheep is pregnant? Sorry?
Eh?
Male or female?
A female sheep.
Which is called?
I don't know. What's a female sheep? A ram? No, that's a man, isn't it?
The other one. The other one.
What is the other one? Tell me.
Mike, it's you.
A ewe?
Yes, EWE.
You.
Who's this guy?
Oh, he's that football bloke, isn't he?
Yep. Do you remember his name?
Oh, no.
Oh, there we go. So, Firdum 187 has got the right answer there. So that's Leroy Sane, but also Sane. Yeah. So you got you, Sane. What's the last one?
Bolt.
There we go. So there we have it. Usain Bolt. Fairly simple, okay? So now we'll go through the rest. So this is mainly for our commenters, those that are actually watching the show, for you to then write down in the comments who these runners are, and we'll. Oh, well done, Rebecca Whitby. And she's my daughter. She didn't actually see me prepare these. Okay, so let's go through them, and we'll reveal the answers at the end of the show. So don't shout them out, gentlemen. So this is a very simple one for those out. So you've got the flag. And you got an object.
It's running related,
and they're all runners. So should be fairly.
Have you got it?
Say what you see. Okay, we'll go on to number 2. So commenters, for those that are viewing and you want us to show them again, just let me know. I'll go on to the second one. So the second one, we've got somebody on grass with a particular item. We've got 2 puppies. And then we've got this photo from a TV show. So come on, viewers, who is this runner? And all I can say, there's a connection to one of the news items about London Marathon. So, Mike, without giving the game away, do you know who this one is?
What the Mo?
Don't give it away. Don't give it away.
No, I think I've got that one.
Okay, so I think Firdum 187, you got that one.
Firdum 187's got that one.
That's it. Yeah. Mo Farah, well done. Okay, then we go
on to
this
one. Mo Farah is their first guess was.
It's got close. Yeah, that'll do. So this is the third one. So we've got a picture of an alien, letter of the alphabet, a part of a car, and a coastal line. Should be, again, another straightforward one. So come on, viewers, what do you think? Okay,
yeah, you've got to watch the first. You've got to watch the film. You've got to know what the film is to know what the first.
But hopefully, it's in 2 parts. Okay, so the first 2 pictures are for the first part of the name. The last 2 pictures for the last part of the name. That's a big clue. You should be able to get it.
I know what that is. I'm not.
Well done, Mike. Don't give it away. And then we've got this one, the last one. So come on, viewers, keep pressing and guessing. Type away. Don't phone. It's just.
Just to let you know, Mike, I got all of these.
Yeah, I'm not there.
Oh, you got to know who this one is. Again, so the first picture is the first name. The last 3 pictures are for the last name. Okay, viewers, right, if you need me to go back to any of them, just let me know. Right. And now we've got to get on to the star item of the show. What we're all come here to talk about tonight is developing a positive mental attitude. Now, of course, when you're running, there's obviously you've got the physical side of running, and that is something that you can train for time and time again. You can pull out all sorts of plans, all sorts of training programs, and just go through them time and time again, and just see if your body can respond, if it can meet the milestones, can meet the paces, and you can keep going. Well, hey, maybe you just meet the final goal as well. But we know that it's not always that easy. Some days you wake up and you feel full of beans. Other days you wake up, you feel terrible. And it does take a lot to get yourself going. So the battle isn't just in the body, it's also in the mind. So this is what we're doing tonight, is just talking about positive mental attitude. And there are a number of things that any runner can do to put them into practice in order to overcome some of the challenges that they face. And I think also it's a great thing to use in life as well. And we do find that people do adapt some of the things that they use in everyday life into their running and their running strategies in everyday life. So it seems to be a good harmony. So certainly in the physical, the mental battles, bring them together. And this is the focal point. So gentlemen, who wants to kick off?
Mike, I'll let you go first.
Well, okay, man. I'll speak from. First of all, we recognise that everyone's different, and they've got different goals or different trajectories within their age group or whatever. And sometimes when you're younger, winning is everything. So developing a winning attitude. For other people, it's just carrying out, just running for its own sake, basically, the intrinsic work rather than the extrinsic. And that, it's not about sort of achievement. So it's recognising we're all different and we're all different. So my first experience of running comes back to when I was at school, really, and I played rugby and I played other sport as well. But I enjoyed cross country. I don't know why I took to it so much, but I could never understand why the headmaster used it as a punishment, because it was a joy to me. So that was my first experience of flipping it to the positive side, really, and that has sort of taken me through. So I have run, at various paces, both on track, both on the road, and over the more off-road these days, really, as well. And it's just, I suppose it's. So why do I love running? What keeps me going? Well, I think it's having fun, actually, not to take it too seriously. I'm not an elite athlete, or I'm not even keen on that. So, but I still like to, I still like, like I did, like marathons, and I have a target time, and I like to do well, particularly well for my age and that sort of thing. And it's sort of trying to have fun, even though it might hurt at the same time, and enjoy it, and remember the tips of the coach, and there's lots of other things you can do, but not to. I suppose that's why I've enjoyed it for so many decades. That I haven't been injured that much, which is another issue. How to maintain a positive attitude, when you're injured, And also, it's not always about more is good. It's about recognising that in a training schedule, it's just as important to rest, have rest days, or do something different as it is to run. Because running is quite like you're running in one plane, doing other things. Like I used to love on my rest day playing badminton. That really helped my sort of, I don't know. I used to come back to running much stronger. So. Okay. And I've done that up to recently, badminton. So that was that one thing. But it's also to enjoy, not to make. We know running is addictive. So it does something to your brain. And if you don't get your fix, sometimes you can get a bit stressy. But it's not to be stressed out or But the run is supposed to be a pleasurable activity, even if it's hurting. Whether you're doing a marathon, whether you're nearly hitting the wall, it's to me, it's pleasure. And I think that's, I always sort of tell myself that if it's hurting too much or whatever. Yeah, go on.
Just a quick question then. So as you know, we talked about mental health on this before, and you know, for someone like myself that struggles every now and again with, you know, quite, you know, feeling quite low and things like that. I know myself how running and going out for a run kind of, you know, improves my mood and helps me with the emotional side of, you know, depression and things like that. So do you ever wake up ever just feeling like, do you know what, I know I need to run, but I just can't be bothered? Do you ever have that?
Yeah, I've had that many a time, particularly when there's been, you know, poor weather or a slight, you know, a late night the night before. You've got to sort of.
We've all been there.
We've all been there, but one of my best cross country runs was when I had the most. I shouldn't say it really. A hangover.
So hang on. Can I just write this down? So Mike Thompson advocates getting really drunk.
No, I won't say that. So, but I think, yeah, like today was quite a challenge because someone's put, like poor weather. I had arranged to meet a few people at, and to do the revised Beachy half marathon, which was great. 8 o'clock.
Did that help then? Did you find? Because I found it.
Yeah, sorry.
I was going to say, so.
Yeah, go on. I wasn't properly dressed for it. I suppose I had shorts. I did have 2 layers on, but I probably should have put my leggings on and things like that, and then maybe an coat because it. But getting out that door, I thought was as soon as I was out there, it's great. It's made taking that first step. For transition from nice, cozy drive out there. Once you're out there, and you're in your running group, and you've arranged them, it's great. It goes, and that's one of my key things is to run not too much on your own. I know we do a lot of running on our own, but I do get my better runs, just training runs, even performance is when you're in a small running group. People that you like.
Is that why I've never been on a run with you?
You could have come today, but you.
You know what? I nearly did. I nearly did come today, but with my other half being 37 weeks pregnant.
Yeah.
Any day now, it's just getting.
I understand that, but it took us from running in that group though. When we got to the top of Butts Brow and that area by the trig point, it chucked it down. It was stinging on our legs and in our eyes, but having that group of people, support one another, that keeps you positive really, and you get through it. And
so, would you have gone out and run that course today on your own? In this,
I would have.
You'd have done it on your own. You'd have gone out and run that today, regardless.
Yeah, but I think my enjoyment notch would have gone down a little bit. All right, so I think running in a group is it gets. I think for me, it helps me, get more out of myself, really.
Yeah, and positive mental attitude does come with experience as well. It does take a lot. It's something that you do have to learn, and you do find it easier. So, Mike, I'd say, right now, yes, you probably can because you've had, if you forgive me, decades of experience pushing yourself to do it. But let's say for say the younger runners amongst us, it can be difficult, and they do need pushing. Sometimes they need lots of active encouragement. And here we've got a young man who's commented away. And he just says, I don't have much experience, but when he's running, he does feel good afterwards. So it's a massive struggle to have the willpower to get up. But when he does it, he does feel better for it. And I think a lot of it is about having somebody there to help spot you, to check you, to get alongside you, having that knock on the door, being responsible for other people as well. So if you're organizing a group, getting up there, knowing you have to be out there. It's a bit like this live stream. I think if I didn't have Simon and any other guests on, I'd find it very difficult just to get on every other week to do this. So I think it is useful having other people around, and I'm sure you both advocate, certainly like you would, running in a club. as well as just linking up with other people to get out there, and just to have that like-minded, set of people that can really encourage you. Some of the downsides would be, I heard from Ben Pauly that he was waterlogged after his run. He was put through his paces like something chronic.
I think you'll heard from Deb Pauly, his wife, that he was asleep for most of the morning afterwards.
That's key. There is a role of running on your own and just that freedom, and I think I recognise that, and it feel good. But as human beings, I think some of us thrive from feedback from others, because we sometimes can have self-doubt. Things can creep in, which can affect our whole, whether you like the run or whether it can affect your performance. So having a coach or someone that's there to say, and actually, no, you're doing it, your pace is spot on, you're doing really well, those sort of things, as well as affirmations. I guess
also it's also down to what is the purpose of the run on that day. So as Juliet says, struggles to get out but loves it afterwards. And I think, as you said earlier, Mike, that it can come down to taking the pressure off as well. But if you're not out there trying to get a particular pace or a target time, target distance, and maybe you're just going out there to run for the sake of running because you enjoy it, you're going to get the natural high because you enjoy it afterwards, you feel a great inner sense of well-being, then it makes sense that you would push yourself that little bit more in order to get out there. I think, Simon, as you say, it is tougher when you're by yourself. To be only responsible for yourself to get out, of course, you have to have a very strong will, a very strong discipline to do it. And then there are a number of strategies you can put in place if you do tend to run by yourself a lot. That's me. And there are some other things that you can put in place. You could, for example, think about the finish line. What are your end goals for the run? So at the moment, I'm going through 1 month challenge, which is a 1 kilometer sprint challenge through Runner's World. And this is now starting the taper week, but last week was a complete mess. I went out and did the very first day of this week and fell apart. I hit the wall, metaphorically. I had no energy in the system. And it was kind of strange. So the end of the second week, I felt great. It was a struggle, 4 days worth. I then went out for a gentle 10K run and felt awful afterwards. 2 days after that, tried to do 400-meter repeat runs and was dead by the end of it. I couldn't keep the pace going. It was just insane. But in my mind, it was that battle of, no, come on, I've got to push it. I've got to push it and get close to the pace target as best as I can. But after I think the second repeat, I was so far away from it, it was a joke. And then I just had to know my limit and say, even with the best will in the world, physically, I just couldn't do it, no matter what my mind was saying. I just couldn't do it. But I think it was helping, though, to say, but there is an end purpose to it. So even though I failed on that particular day, next week I'm going to do a slightly extended taper week for the challenge, and just to try and get my mindset back in the zone, and hopefully my body will respond. I don't know if either of you guys have experienced that.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, Mike. I think I want to echo what you said at the end, because for some reason my internet cut out for about 30 seconds, so I didn't get what was being taught. But what Fearden 187 said, that the willpower to get up and feeling good afterwards, and it's all worth it. I think going in with a mindset to know that actually how good you will feel after the run, whether it be a training run or whatever it is, it's, I think for marathon, if you're doing a race for the first time and you've never done it before, going in knowing that you've done all the right training, you've eaten well the two or 3 days before, and you've done everything you can, just going in knowing you've done that will pretty much get you through it, because you've done it, even though the nerves that you'll have all the way through. But I think there's no way I was getting up and going for a run this morning unless I'd have gone out with someone else. But I know I ran the day before, ran a good 10K the day before. But for me, it's, I know the benefits of going for the run. I know the benefits it will have to me for doing it. So because I didn't run yesterday, I know, or didn't run today, I know I will go out and run tomorrow morning. So whether it be on my own or with someone else, I will go out and do that run. So for me, it's definitely the benefits keep me going. And I know that I know that I couldn't have gone out and run a marathon today, even with all I probably could have done, but I wouldn't have been happy with my time or anything like that, because I've not done the relevant training. So I know that in my head that doing that would have been too much, and obviously that's where you realise that last week, Ray, that you're this week that you realise actually you've done too much. You need to take a step back for a couple of seconds and then go through it again. So I think it's good. And for me, sometimes it's as you say, realising that you've done too much, and actually it's positive to take that and go, actually, yeah, I can switch that and go, right, I'm having a rest day today instead of going out and doing this. Because as we've talked before, there's no point going out, and if you're not feeling it, you're not, as I think it was the doctor, when we had Johnny and Fenella on for the doctors, and they were talking about, if you're missing a one run in a training plan, it's not going to have much of a difference.
Sure.
Actually, the recovery you'll get from that will be far better. So it's realising that and going, yeah, I've recovered now, I can go out and do it again.
Yeah, and just to pick up on a point that Mike had made when dealing with injury and trying to look for the positives. Okay, Mike, you were saying looking for the positives. It was supposed to be a form of punishment. Cross-country running, you actually delighted in it, which is great. What I found this year, I've been 6 months injured with patellofemoral pain syndrome, and it's been probably about 2-3 months has been very, very difficult to run during that time. And all I can say, and my wife will vouch for this, it was unpleasant. It really was. It messed up my mind. It was so difficult because I just could not run. So there wasn't even a case of, I had to take a day off, a week off. This was many, many weeks. And I know lots of people have gone through that this year. A good friend of mine, Duncan Taylor, had a heart attack and been stented, and now he's couched a 5K program again, which he said is an incredible challenge to try and physically go slow again, because he was a marathon runner. These things hit us, and it's how do you turn that around? So of course we try these different types of things to just keep us going. I think one of the things that we'd spoken about before, Simon, on the show, was looking at mantras. And it's that thing of you can use that in running, but I think also it's trying to think about your strategies in life as well. Why are you doing it? How do you frame your mind so that you don't sink, but you can actually just lift yourself up and tie yourself over? And I think also, again, having people around in those situations is a very positive thing. And having something greater than yourself to focus on is probably the other thing for me personally. It can carry me through these things. So it's not about me. I don't wallow in self-pity. It's actually to turn it around and say, well, okay, I may be in this situation, but actually, what can I do for others? Because I know I've got a great life. I mean, I do. I've given up my career. I've given up my title, my fame, my fortune, not that I had much of those, to become a charity woodworker. And this is the happiest moments of my life. I've got family around me. And every time I suddenly feel sorry for myself, I just have to say, well, wait a minute. Let's think about this. My friends are struggling. Family, they're struggling. Look around the world, people who actually physically have not eaten today. I have no right. I know that everybody's struggles are personal and they're very relative to us all, and they can be very significant. So I would never minimize that. But for me, when I start thinking about my own personal problems, I just got to reflect, actually, there are other people out there that are in far worse situations. What can I do to help? So for me, that's how I do it. So thinking about the mantras and thinking of something greater than myself can actually lift me up. Obviously getting much better practice at it as the years go by. Mike, have you been in these types of situations?
I've been in my running career. I like competitive running, and sometimes I've been in the DNF. Did not finish because of a pulled hamstring, and it's just just not letting it affect you too negatively, and sometimes your run hasn't gone well. It's like it's picking yourself up after setbacks as well. So I think there's issues around, and how you deal with those, because we don't always have. Well, there's no such thing as the perfect run. I don't think. I'm not sure. They're near, but they're not. And you don't. To be perfect, you don't necessarily have to win. But it's for you. You know where you are. So you've had some good runs, some brilliant runs, and some that have gone, for one reason or another, they haven't gone very well. And sometimes there's no rhyme or reason to some of that stuff, and it's accepting all that and just carrying on. And the other thing I would say in terms of like as you get older, I know we talked about some of our younger viewers today. It's always like it's worth just resetting. Every time you have a birthday, reset your goals and your time and your expectations, so you don't put your body at risk as you get older. It's recognizing that I'll never be as good as those 20-year-olds or whatever.
Don't forget, as we announced 2 weeks ago, there's that gentleman who's got the world record.
Martin Rees.
Martin Rees, who's like a 16-minute park runner, and he's like 65. So there's plenty of time.
No, I don't think I'll ever get there anyway. I know it's about knowing one's limit. So I think I don't think I could do that now. I don't think my body would cope with that. So it's recognising those, and I think if you started aiming too high, I think that could affect your mental well-being if you're not careful. But
as we said, there's the physical attributes that person's probably got to do that.
Yeah.
On the training that they do and everything like that. So, I know I'm far too tall and far too heavy to ever be a sub 15 or a sub 18 minute park runner, but I'll always go out and just enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go out and do it. So, I think, Ray, you talked about mantras earlier as well. And, I know, as we talked about before, mine, I get to a point where it's just keep running, just keep that going on and off my head. One of the things to try and keep myself going when the chips were down in races was start counting.
Yes.
And start counting from one to a particular number, and then when you get there, start again. And you suddenly find that it distracts you enough that any negative thoughts that you get whilst running go, and then you can carry on again. Have you used anything, guys?
Yeah, well, mantras definitely, but I mean, I still say, when you run, have fun. I mean, I used to say no pain, no gain, but I think that's slightly negative, isn't it? But I suppose the pain is partly fun, isn't it? Or if you see what I mean. But it's so it's look. And it's enjoying seeing, things like distractions. But I like to go blank sometimes when I'm running. To be honest, I've problem solving at work. That helps for a bit, and then I like to go blank and just enjoy, at least half of the run, looking at the scenery and that sort of thing. But mantras do play a part, really. Visualization, all those things about, all those psychological type approaches can help with your positive mental attitude.
I'm pretty sure, going back to the no pain, no gain, I'm pretty sure Queen, because we've already talked about Queen on this, one of the lyrics to one of their songs is pain is so close to pleasure. And I completely get that now. That, you have to go through some pain to get, I'm talking in the running sense, not in anything else.
No.
That's a completely different story. But
pain trains the brain, doesn't it, as well? So you need, to get to switch into that, mode. There's fight or, is basically you need to train the brain to know that it's some of this pain is healthy pain, or whatever it is.
I suppose the good thing with the experience of the more runs and the more races you do is actually you get to realise the negative thoughts potentially and the positiveness of you actually completing these training runs or races, that when you come to do that race again or a similar race, say a 10K somewhere else or half marathon, it's not so daunting. So the positive, I've completed this race before, or I've completed this distance before, you can take that to another event, I suppose. I think that I've used that without probably realising I've used that before as well.
That's right. I think you can train the body and the mind to deal with the pain. I think it takes a certain type of character to then enjoy that. And I'm not saying that's a negative thing, but you can at least get used to those levels of pain. As you say, you have to push yourself out of the comfort zone. You have to do it safely, of course, otherwise you're very prone to injury, especially if you're redlining the system. So you have to be very, very careful before you even attempt these types of things. But you can train in a very smart way of getting your body closer to there. And things that I've been doing, for example, looking at switching from, say, long distance, say 5K is technically a long distance run, down to shorter distances. And then in the training, you're doing even shorter distances. So you're looking at 200 meters and 400 meter repeat sprints, then trying to do them back to back with a short break in between. And your system, it can struggle to start with, but then it gets used to it. And then you can recognize that your body can actually push through those barriers a little bit further, a little bit harder, a little bit faster. And then hopefully it makes the whole system stronger. Now, hopefully that also has the positive impact on the brain as well. So whilst your body is getting stronger, you know in your mind that you can actually do it that little bit quicker. So hopefully together, it's this synergistic relationship between the physical developments and the mental developments that can come together and actually make the complete runner that much stronger.
Yeah, and I think it's about mixing up making your running varied, from interval training, fartlek, hill reps. Those sort of things can really actually, it's more interesting as well as, and particularly if you're doing it in socially distanced groups at the moment.
And on top of that, changing the location of where you run as well. Yeah. It has a massive, I remember years ago going through a phase where I hated running along the seafront because that's all I ever seemed to do. So I ended up chopping and changing, and for about 2 months I never run along the seafront, and I was going up to the Downs, around Shinewater Park, like around Pevensey Bay and around that kind of area. And then all of a sudden, running along the seafront didn't matter because I wasn't bored of it. So it's, as you say, it's chopping and changing. You do the same thing all the time. It gets repetitive and gets boring, doesn't it? So it's making sure that you keep things fresh. Definitely.
Yes, run on the road, run on the track, run on off road, run on the sand, barefoot, lots of things you can do.
We're ridiculously lucky around here as well that we do we live within driving distance of the Downs. Some of us live on the Downs, Mr. T. We've got the Downs, we've got the seafront, we've got road, we've got track. There's so many different places. There's forest. There's loads of places that we can go running around here just to mix it up. On my days of running my quick times, I feel, or my quickest times, probably could come back with the right training, but I'm just out it now. So I get my positiveness and my from just the enjoyment of just going out for a run now.
Just being there.
I've just thought of my mantra actually that I used to, is no fear. So fear is false evidence appearing real. No. So
you can run all up your arm when you're running.
Because we have these inner fears and they're false. A lot of them about your ability. Fear of public speaking, fear of failure in running, fear. You just got to. It's only within ourselves, all this. So I think
it is surprising just how you can push through these as well. That there are fears that feel very debilitating, and it can prevent us from doing a great many things. And it is possible to overcome them. It may take a lot of time. One of my biggest fears is unsupported heights, or unsecure heights, or insecure heights, I should say. So if I'm up a building, peering out of a plane, so up a building, looking out the window, looking out the plane window, I don't have a problem. But if I'm leaning over the edge of a building and I can see straight down, that's when things start to go a little bit wibbly. And then when I start looking at YouTube videos of these really, I don't know, I want to say amazing, but also equally rather interesting kind of guys and girls that are climbing up, free climbing up these construction sites onto the construction crane and then just peering over. You're just looking straight down. It's like 40-story drop or more, and that's just it. My palms are sweaty. I go wibbly, and I'm just cowering on the floor. And this is just in the safety of my own home. So this is a fear that I don't know if I could ever get through, but I would imagine that if I had the time and the inclination, it could be done. I mean, somebody said it was a thought exercise. Imagine yourself between two buildings, two tall high-rise buildings. There's a very thin platform between the two, completely unsupported, so you could fall off and drop straight down. Could you crawl from one side of the building, from one roof to the other roof? And the answer was absolutely not. There's no way I could do it. Then they said, well, what if it was a loved one about to fall off? Say your child, for some reason, was over there, crawling around, was about to fall off. Could you then do it? I'm thinking, probably. So it's interesting, if you can find the right motivation, maybe you can actually break some of these barriers. And I think in part you can look for the extrapolation and say, well, positive mental attitudes, what are your barriers? What is actually holding you back? Break that apart, try to find other people that could help you break that apart, to find what it is that you need. And sometimes it could even just be that thing, that reflection to say, look how far you've come. So you may be going through the grind, you may be hitting that wall, you may just feel really down and out, no energy, no enthusiasm whatsoever. But if you could just turn around and then just think, well, just how far have you come? That's possibly one of the biggest incentives that you could give yourself, certainly from a running sense. Now, Simon, if you don't mind, we were talking about this in rehearsal, and you've got some friends that have just got some incredible stories. I mean, you just say, just look at how far they've come. Would you mind sharing a bit, please?
Yeah, I've got a friend of mine called Kevin who has been diagnosed with terminal prostate cancer. Now, prostate cancer can last anywhere from months to years, so he will eventually die of this once his blood levels get to a certain point and things like that. But he has been told that he will die of prostate cancer. So when he got diagnosed about 5 years ago, he was an active runner, but never really was anything. You go out for runs every now and again. He's ended up doing the Marathon des Sables 3 times now. He's done very well, but he had set himself. I've literally got my phone, so I'm reading. He said I get an email every couple of weeks from him, and he went out to attempt a non-stop 24-hour run of running 3-mile loops around his house, and in the course of which he would run further than he's ever run before in one go. So the most he's ever run in one go is 67 miles, but he was hoping to run 100 miles in that 24 hours. He was ready to go when he got the devastating news that one of his prostate cancer friends, he calls him his twin, Lloyd, had passed away that morning. So Lloyd was 49, and he had a wife and 2 daughters, very young daughters as well. So he'd obviously known Lloyd for quite a while, obviously with his prostate cancer journey. So basically he's still set off on his challenge 15 minutes later with tears in his eyes, thinking about all those good times that he had with Lloyd, and the positive difference he made for so many. So the downside of his understandable saddened focus on Lloyd was that his running plan went out the window. So he still carried on, and he kind of used the negatives of what had happened that morning to drive him on. So he went off, and instead of his training plan went out the window. And knowing Kevin, that's not unusual. So he ran his first marathon in under 5 hours. So that's fine if you want to run, one marathon. But obviously, he wanted to run a further 3. And he had a few friends join him to try and get him round. But in the early hours of the morning, he started to struggle. He started having issues with parts of his body and things like that. And he started feeling quite ill, so he ended up stopping. He still managed to complete 78 miles in 17 hours. And, which is the furthest he's ever run, in 24 hours. But what made it, he made such an impact on other people that he had 100 of his road around the route that he ran come out and clap him around the course. And at 6 p.m. the following day, or so on the Sunday, he did this on the Saturday, he had 30 of his neighbours, socially distanced, ran a mile each so that they could run to complete the 100 miles that he was attempting to do. So he turned that negative into a positive, and that positive then enticed 30 other people. So positiveness, and this guy weighs like hundreds of thousands of people. And this guy is an icon to me. This guy is a legend. He's not the quickest runner. He's not the best runner, but he's using his negativeness, he's using the negative issues that he's had, and he's turned it into a massive positive, which again, Ray, as you said, it's for the greater good, I think, is what you were talking about earlier. In the words of Hot Fuzz, the greater good. I think everything but he does everything for the greater good. He knows that he's got this illness that he will suffer from greatly and pass away from in the next probably 5 years, potentially longer if it's managed well. But he's used that, he's flicked it on his head, and he's gone, do you know what? I could sit and wallow in this, but I'm not. I'm going to go out and I'm going to make a difference. And that's what he's done. And I love the guy to pieces. I think he's amazing.
Yeah. And just to look how far he has come as well, that a lot of us could just say, that's it, game over. I have this condition, I have this illness, that's it. I'm just now waiting for the inevitable. So let's just focus on me, can withdraw. But as you say, through that journey, that he's been able to find some real positives as well. And it's not easy by any stretch of the imagination. It looks as though he's had many more hurdles to get through, especially in hearing the news of a close friend, his twin, that had died just before the event as well. And he could just get to 78 miles and think, well, that's it, I failed. Or he could turn around and say, I've actually accomplished 78 miles. And it's just incredible that others would get around him and support him in that way so that he could get up to the 100 miles. Just amazing depths of character. And I don't think that's beyond us all. I don't think there's anybody who could say, I can't do that. I think within us, we have that ability to do it. We have that inner depth somewhere. We've just got to try. It may be difficult. It may be painful, but we can do it. I think we can turn around. And I think in our running, we can, it's perhaps less melancholy, but to say that actually, we may have a difficulty, may have a challenge, but we can get out there and do it. And it could be something simple. It doesn't have to be, running 50 miles ultramarathon with huge loads on our back, or trying to run 78 miles or the 100 miles. Challenges could be whatever they are. But the positive mental attitude is, how do we approach it? It says a lot about us. And I think sometimes we do have to reflect. Maybe it requires other people around us, other runners, to get alongside us and say, come on, you can do it. And I think, actually, yes.
Hang on, let's get this right. I think this guy here, this guy below us is one of the reasons why so many people complete parkrun on a Saturday in Eastbourne. The fact that you, Mike, when people turn up, they see you smiling, laughing, joking, gives them the positivity to go out and run themselves. So you are one of the as you say, we should all rally together and help each other out. And Mike, you are one of the face. You are the face of Eastbourne parkrun.
And lots of others. I think the parkrun model, I do miss it because one of the things about couch, whether it's couch to 5K or whatever, if people turn up, whatever their abilities, they're always there, supported by all the marshals, by all the volunteers, and I think that's what helps people come back week after week. And some of those will have a not so good week. It's not all about PBs and things, even though we do celebrate those sort of things. But it's and it, that recognise that you do it. You can have a bad, it's no such thing as a bad run, is there? It's just something that doesn't meet one's expectations sometimes. Yes. I think that's the best way to describe them.
I like it.
Everyone adopted that approach, and that's why you can always go back with parkrun. But if there's longer term ones like the London Marathon, you're probably going to take you a bit longer to, like 10 minutes to get over it. But
Mike, you did say there's nothing like a bad run, but someone once said to me, the only bad run is the run you didn't do.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think just one step forward, you get your first step, get your running shoes on, or whatever. You're running. It's a positive. I think little steps, giant leaps, or whatever it is.
And I think we're knowing that Eastbourne Parkrun, or that the running community within Eastbourne and across other places, is such a inclusive. I'll say Eastbourne because obviously that's where we all run, the three of us. Yeah. But it's such an inclusive and positive place to be. Yes, there are the elite people or the more elite people that run for certain within the clubs and things like that. But even, you know, it's really nice to see some people that are really good runners. Just you know, saying well done, you're doing really well, and it's brilliant. You know, it's such an inclusive environment for where we live, and I think we need to just take that into consideration that we are very, very lucky where we are.
So I think in terms of rounding up the discussion, some of the practical tips that we can give today about running. So one, we could look at training the body and the mind, and certainly training for pain so that we can get used to it. Whether we actually enjoy it, I don't know. I know Kipchoge, for example, is a poker player when he runs. And I remember watching his the Ineos sub-2-hour attempt that he was poker face throughout, and then he just managed to put a smile on his face. And the commentator says, "Oh, well, yeah, he does that. He's in a world of pain, and yet somehow he manages to put a smile on his face. It's incredible." So whether he's also getting the endorphins through as well. Think about the finishing line. Think about the end goals, because that can help keep you going. Think about taking the pressure off as well of just complete release from your targets, and maybe just go and do the fun run. Just do it for fun. Get rid of your Garmin watch or your sports watch, just go out there and run for fun. Run for something greater than yourself. Another good one. You know, don't make it all about you. What about others? Run in a group. They can spot you. They can help you. We know that we've spoken about it before. Mantras are so critical for the individual, just to keep yourself going. And all I've got now is Simon's Dory mantra in my mind: keep on running, keep on running. Other things, counting as a distraction. I've done that before as well. And actually, when you're mentally tired as well, even trying to remember what comes after 99 could be a challenge. That's when you know it's really, really bad. Certainly think about how far you've come. I think that's a really important one as well. Of you have, as a runner, broken some of the barriers that you probably don't even realize. So even as a Couch 5K runner, the fact that you've actually put your shoes on and got outside the front door, that's it. As Simon, you said, the failed run is the one that you haven't done. The fact that you're out there and running, it doesn't matter how quick or how slowly, whether your form is perfect or whether it's like the jolly pirate runner. It doesn't matter. The fact that you've actually got over that hurdle, you've broken through that barrier, just get out there and do it and think about what you have achieved. And then above all, I think, Mike, you said from the outset, have fun. That's such an important thing about running, that above and beyond all else that's going on, no matter what you're training for or what you hope to achieve, you've got to have fun. And I think too many people give it up too quickly running, because they find it too difficult and they kind of forget why they're doing it. It's, I've got to run 20 minutes non-stop in the Couch to 5K program, or I've got to break, I don't know, a sub 25-minute 5K, or I've got to get a 4-hour marathon, or whatever it is. They suddenly forget that it's about the enjoyment of it, and you've got to have that in your heart in order to keep yourself going through the difficult times as well. So I think that's a fair summary. Gentlemen, would you add anything into that? Anything that I've forgotten?
No, I think the fun is I think you've summarised it really well. Really, the fun element, and use it as to, as you say, relieve stress and those sort of things. I think you've summarised it really well. I think that was my key points. Really, I think you've got them all.
Yeah, and all you got to do.
I just echo what everyone else has said.
Sorry, just to say, and all you got to do is remember the Spice Girls. Do you know what they said? All you need is positivity. Spice up your life. Anyway,
I'm not old enough to remember Spice Girls.
Mike's in denial.
I'm in denial. I must get some Union Jack shorts.
Fantastic. Right. I think what we need to do is just to finish off with the answers to the picture quiz. So, Mike, this is where you can now shout out.
I don't know them all.
If you can get them. So, what do we got, Mike? What's this one?
Oh, skull.
Okay. What's the skull and crossbones? What's the alternative name for it?
Pirate.
Yeah. It's the flag. What's the name of the flag itself?
Oh, Jolly Roger.
Yeah. And what's the second one?
A grab rail.
Or it's called
a Jolly Roger stair rail.
Not quite.
Adaptation.
What else is it called if it's not a grab rail?
It's a stair rail.
It's not a rail.
An aid.
Okay, he was the first person to run sub 4 minutes for the mile.
Oh, Bannister.
There we go. Roger Bannister.
Well,
Oh,
I know that
now
one.
we call him Jolly Roger Handrail. Poor guy. Tuesday. All right, on to the next one. I think you did get this, did you?
Yeah, Mo Farah.
Mo Farah. Well done.
Mo
What about
Farah.
this one?
Oh, that's Paul Radcliffe.
Paula Radcliffe. Well done. And finally,
Oh, I don't know this one.
okay,
This one,
the last three pictures. If not now,
If not now,
what's the saying? If not now,
when?
exactly. So put it together. O S.
What?
Put it together. O when S.
ONS.
Yeah.
ONS. Owen. ONS.
Owens.
What's that first one?
Jesse.
Toy Story.
Oh, come on, Simon. Put him out of his misery.
It's Jesse Owens.
Jesse Owens.
Who's Jesse? Is that Toy Story?
That's Toy Story.
Jesse Owens.
All right. Jesse Owens was one of my heroes, actually.
Yes, one of mine too. Just incredible.
Jesse Owens, Paula Radcliffe, Sebco, Steve Ovett.
Yeah, some of them would have been very difficult to do for the picture quiz. So I had to go through a list of names to get, I can't do that. So I tried to find something. But look, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on the show tonight. It's been great to have you.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you very much.
And just to say, I think in 2 weeks' time, we haven't got it totally confirmed. We do have a representative. In fact, he's the owner, isn't he, of the Tempo store in Eastbourne. We're going to be talking about, I hope, running footwear as well as running gear for the winter period. So that'll be one to catch as well, because it's very topical right now. I'm cold. I feel
All I can hear is rain on my window.
Oh, God.
So it just leaves me to say to all you viewers, thanks so much for joining us on this live stream tonight. I hope you have a fantastic week ahead. Try and stay warm, stay dry. And yes, positive mental attitude. It'd be great if you are looking at this on the replay. Comment below, and we'll follow up on the comments in the next couple of weeks. But just, it's been great to interact with you tonight. Just wishing you a good one, and hopefully catch you next time on this parkrun